Our next question, Jim, sent in on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru, is from Elliot Olshansky. You say they should talk about Jungle Boy's background. People already complain that Jim Ross calls him Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Isn't it like saying Undertaker Mark Calloway? I feel like doing mainstream press stories about him being Luke Perry's son is fine and should be encouraged, but shouldn't everyone be committed to his being the character Jungle Boy when he's in the ring?
Oh, God. Oh, God. So we are to believe that much like Mowgli in the Jungle Book, this fucking swaddling clothed orphan was in a shipwreck like Tarzan of the Apes and was raised by the jungle fucking beasts or whatever. And somebody's going to say, oh, we're supposed to believe the guy's undead or whatever. Now, here's the difference. The Undertaker was a gimmick to take a guy that was, all due respect to Mark, not that interesting as a person because he was a 25-year-old, 7-foot-tall fucking redheaded kid from Texas, but The Undertaker, and then Mark made The Undertaker. And so, yes, it would be bad, and that's why it's done very little and only since recent that he even appears out of gimmick in public. But The Undertaker was a great gimmick that took a guy that maybe wasn't that interesting at that point and allowed him to be interesting and then grow into it and blend the two together. Jungle Boy is taking a kid who's incredibly interesting with his real identity and his real story. And what is the Jungle Boy? I just gave you more backstory than they have on Jungle Boy. Which jungle is he from? Did the apes raise him, or was it the fucking, of the fucking zebras? Or was it the Tarzan story? Or is it he was raised by a native tribe, but became like that's the fucking Billy Jack story? Or I don't fucking, they ain't no story. Was he the kid when they put out Naked and Afraid, the two people naked and afraid in the fucking woods, and they ended up fucking on the first day before they got dehydrated. And 9 months later, Jungle Boy was born.
What?
Well, what the fuck? So now you've got a guy, here is the son of a legendary actor who has taken a obviously different career path than his father, but his father was supportive of him, I understand. And yes, he's got a gimmick, but he can be Jungle Jack. Here was Jungle Jim. Johnny Weissmuller played him in the movies. He could be Jungle Jack. And the point is, you've got a kid that looks great, that is working well, that is a great underdog babyface kid and got a wonderful backstory and was related to a legitimate movie star. And I think you can build some more, a better foundation out of those blocks than you can out of Jungle Boy. Which jungle? We don't know. We have, and once again, they've been on TV for 2 months now. And all we know is about Jungle Boy, whether a gimmick background or a legitimate background, is when JR calls him Jungle Boy Jack Perry. That's all we know. They've had their chance to tell us. Now we're going to make shit up on our own.
I know Chris Christopherson's son was in developmental for a while, I believe. And I know way back, Shirley Temple's brother was a wrestler.
George Temple.
Were you ever around any children or siblings of celebrities who decided they wanted to try to break into wrestling?
Well, you remember there's a story about Sam Phillips's son. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. President of the Sputnik Monroe fan club.
Well, yeah, but Knox was, I met Knox. I met Sam Phillips in Memphis at his radio station in 1979. Handsome Jimmy was judging a cowboy hat contest because one of his radio stations, he had a number of them, was a country station. And there I'm getting to hang out and talk to Sam Phillips, and he looked like a fucking, I don't know how old he was, but he looked like a 60-year-old hippie. He had fucking beard and long hair and fluffy sleeves, 70s shirt on. And what a cool guy. And his son, Knox, went to school with Jimmy Hart and was friends and obviously part of the music scene there. And Knox's brother, what was his name? Sam's other son, I think Jerry maybe. But for a while in the late 50s, at least for the spot shows, probably as a hoot, because of course Sputnik Monroe is going to let the sons of Sam Phillips hang around him in Memphis, right? And there's a chapter on it in the book on it came from Memphis. Robert Gordon was the author.
Yeah,
yes,
great book.
Sputnik trained Jerry enough, but when he was 12 years old, to where they put him on a couple of spot shows as the world's most perfectly formed midget wrestler, because now he's a 12-year-old boy, right? No, I'm serious. He's a 12-year-old kid. And usually the midget wrestlers have the short, stubby legs or, whatever. And wrestling fans were used to that. But now what they did was they dressed him up in a bowler hat and they had him stick a cigar in his mouth and he comes out there and it's obviously a 12-year-old kid, but Sputnik is swearing it's the goddamn world's most perfectly formed midget. And he even took him to some bars and they'd order 2 beers, right? He'd sit the fucking kid up on the bar. No, he's the world's most perfectly formed midget wrestler, and it's fucking Sputnik Monroe, right? So this kid's having a time of his life, and Sputnik's hanging out with the Phillips family in Memphis, and finally they had to they put the kibosh on it. I guess Sam or maybe the kid's mother or whatever, when they got so much heat at one of the spot shows, one of the people almost stabbed the fucking 12-year-old world's most perfectly formed midget wrestler, because he was a heel, and so they had to put an end to that. But no, there was there's precedent for I'm trying to think, certainly over a period of time in the 40s and 50s, that so many of the guys that located in the Los Angeles territory were being asked to do bits in movies, that somehow there was some crossover there at some point. But yeah, that Sputnik Monroe was spent like a year and a half in Memphis, maybe his first run, and it's a fucking book of the stories of the shit that he did. And he was in a newspaper almost every week, it seems like.
To go back to Jungle Boy and to also go back to Twitter, did you see the Twitter exchange between Braun Strowman and Luchasaurus this past week?
Fortunately, I avoided that one.
I have to say, this was pretty funny. So I don't know what caused it. I don't know what's happening on WWE TV because I don't watch it. But Braun Strowman tweeted, "Dinosaur versus dinosaur. I like the sound of that. Hashtag Haas fight." So some fan, it seems, wrote Luchasaurus? And Braun replied, "No, a real big man, not some dork in a dragon mask."
Oh my God.
Luchasaurus replied, "Wow, I haven't heard the dragon insult since the Middle Ages." He's good. I gotta say, I like Luchasaurus a lot.
Yeah, he is. He's pretty good. That line comes up once every 500 years or so.